We are Casey Less. We don't have our resident Thor.
So it'll be a better episode then.
The 6'1" KCT Allen.
Thor 4, 3 more Thors. One Thor's gone.
3 more Thors. Oh my God, I'm all over.
Southern Thor's out. You know what I mean?
Southern
Voodoo Child Thor's not here.
I love it. Hick Thor.
Hick Thor.
Today on Spoiler Country presents Make My Marvel TV, it is Loki episode 4.
The Loki show, episode 4.
Right,
yeah.
the Loki
we
show.
forgot that last time around.
Yeah.
When I was watching it back, I was going, fuck, we didn't use Casey's name. We didn't use Hick Thor's name, the Loki show.
This was a good episode. This was kind of a lot of fun. There's some shocking stuff at the end.
Good shit at the end, yeah.
Yeah, good shit at the end. I think I'm gonna put this out here at the beginning. I think they fucked it up with the extra scene. Like, I know I complained about the cliffhangers.
Fucking mic drop from Kenric within the first 2 minutes. It's great show, but they fucked up the ending. Clowns at Marvel. Kevin Feige, what are you thinking? I'm Kenric Regan. You're Kevin Feige. Mic drop. You're an idiot.
Come on. Why aren't you listening to me? No, but seriously, I know I had this whole rant. I think it was a couple episodes ago about cliffhangers and how they do it all the time. And they do it all the time. But this instant was the one you should have had a cliffhanger on, because we'd only be talking about that ending if they did not have that extra scene. You know what I mean? That's what everybody would be talking about. Is he or isn't he? And no. And that's all out the window because they did this extra thing. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, they
as a counterpoint to what you're saying, I would say that it's fucking obvious that they're not going to kill Loki in his own show.
Because he's a variant, so they could bring in another variant.
For sure. Yeah. What I mean is Loki, Tom Hiddleston is going to be a present. So therefore, I think they're thinking, well, okay, is he dead? Are we going to bring in a different version and play by the same guy? No one's going to care about that shit. We might as well run this little fucking, whoa, look, it's Richard E. Grant, kind of thing. I think that's where they were probably coming from. But I do take your point, mate. I get where you're coming from. I just think that
they didn't have to do that.
Right.
You could do that scene at the beginning of the next episode. I'm just saying, if they would have left that in as a cliffhanger, that's all anybody would be talking about. Because I legit, when they killed Miss Mobius, I was like, holy shit, they just killed Mobius.
that was the emotional highlight of the episode for me, because I sat there thinking, actually, you know what? I really like Owen Wilson's performance as this guy. I'm really digging it. I wonder what they're going to go to. Okay, they killed him there.
Killed him.
Fuck. And then I was kind of like, I hope he comes back, because I really liked him. I don't know if he will come back or not. But it's the ultimate fucking fake out. If they set him up to be somebody you love, then they kill him. Every other fucker in the TV, I don't care whether they live or die. I mean, and to me, it was so boringly obvious from the tease of it, that the timekeepers were not going to be real, that some of the shit was going on, that it was going to be fake, that it was going to be the Wizard of Oz, which is what it was.
Right? Well, dude, that's the first thing I thought when you walked in that room, Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
All right, what is that,
and that's the reference for sure.
Yeah, as soon as they showed the timekeepers, I was like, they're not real. They're not real. They're a projection, they're robots or something. Those aren't real. That's not real. That's
now
fantastic.
Oh, sorry, carry on. Sorry, Johnny, carry on.
Yeah, it's too outside of what Marvel's done in the past that I can't see them having that be the reality of what they are. Yeah, and then, it was obvious. But now the question is, who's behind them? Kang. But who are they going to show?
yeah. It's so true. I'm going to do my first digression of the episode.
Oh, already?
Okay? Already, yeah. I mean, sometimes we've started with the digression. Let's run for 20 minutes. Yeah. Here's my first digression. Right, okay. So, I was watching the final season of Bosch, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. And the final season of Bosch, not the final scene, but the second to last scene that uses because Bosch is a big fan of jazz, right? Harry Bosch is a huge jazz fan. Like myself, yeah, exactly. And basically, he's got all this vinyl that he listens to and whatnot. And he's listening to this tune that the minute it comes on, I know what it is. It's an alto sax jazz tune called Lullaby, which is a beautiful piece of music recorded by Frank Morgan. Frank Morgan is a an African-American alto sax player who was a contemporary of Charlie Parker's. The difference between Frank Morgan and Charlie Parker, they're both geniuses, is that Frank Morgan didn't die massively prematurely. The similarity between the two of them is they're both fucking chronic junkies, right? And so basically, Frank Morgan lived on delivering beautiful music, but having a massive raging heroin problem. And his last arrest was in 1986. He died in 2007, and he spent the last 20 years of his life on methadone, like literally taking methadone every day. That's how much of an addict this cat was, but still delivering beautiful music that entire time. But he lived till his early 70s. So, for a massive H junkie, that's good innings, right? Yeah. Anyway, they play this beautiful tune, Lullaby. I'm listening to this tune being played, and I'm like, oh man, that's Frank Morgan's Lullaby. That's such a great piece of music. I haven't listened to any Frank Morgan for a long time. And his music is so relaxing, so beautifully played. So I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna put him on Spotify. And it's the end of a long working day. I'm going to get a bath. I'm going to sort of draw this bath with a lot of nice oils in it and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? Sorry if I'm instilling images of my yeah, exactly. Think American Beauty, but instead of it's actually me inside the bath. You know what I mean? Which I'm sure is an image you want in your mind. So there I'm in the bath, and I'm listening to Frank Morgan playing all this beautiful jazz. And the Spotify algorithm then cues up the next song, yeah? And it is like it's Hey Ho, How Great to Be in the Land of Oz from The Wizard of Oz, with a couple of tra-la-las, that's how we laugh the day away in the merry old land of Oz. So I'm sitting there relaxing in this upbeat 1930s fucking MGM musical tune sung by a bunch of what are they called in the Wizard of Oz? Munchkins. Yeah, the Munchkin. Sung by the Munchkin comes on. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is absolutely soured my mood big time. Why did that come on? Because of Frank Morgan, who plays the Wizard of Oz in the Wizard of Oz. So there's an actor called Frank Morgan who plays like the traveling salesman guy in the Wizard of Oz, and he also plays Oz the Great and Powerful, the guy who's hanging out behind the scenes. And he's a really well-known character actor from the golden age of MGM musicals, and he's the primary singer on that song from the Wizard of Oz. So what Spotify has done is it's mixed together all these Frank Morgan tunes, but in the middle of it, drop the one fucking song done by Frank Morgan, the actor, which is from the Wizard of Oz. And it was completely, absolutely took me out of the moment. It's like, what the fuck is going on, right? And my point is, A, we've got a bit of a Wizard of Oz analogy going on, right? And B, every time they did that piece of business, the minute I saw like the 3 timekeepers, I was like, right, these guys are fake. I just want to get the reveal over and done with. Let's get to the other side of it, because this is absolutely wasting my time as a viewer. When you saw her in the previous episode walk in, and it was all dry ice and whatnot, and you see their glowing eyes, I'm like, this isn't real. This is the Wizard of Oz. Yeah. Anybody with any brain knew that straight away.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure that was all on purpose too.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. But you kind of think, are these guys just jerking us off just a bit too much? Because if you see it coming, it's not a reveal, right?
Yeah.
The brilliance of the twist and the sting when that first came out in 1973 is nobody sees it coming. And the brilliance of it is if nobody spoiled the film for you, you kind of don't really see what's going on, that bait and switch. But it's become very, very difficult to do that these days because people are so familiar with the idiom of film that have seen so many films that they begin to subconsciously, even if they don't know at the forefront of their mind, to know, hang on, I'm being tricked here. Something's going on. And that's why when you get a film like, say, Get Out from a couple of years ago, which is genuinely fresh and new, you don't know what the fuck's going to happen. Or Midsummer, another example of that. You're just like, where's this going to go? I've got no fucking idea. I would argue that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the same thing. It's like, I do not know where Quentin's going with this, right? But I think one of the problems that I'm feeling going through the Loki experience is that I spent the first, as you know, for the first 2 episodes, really thinking this is massively underwhelming. and then being massively impressed by episode 3.
Yeah.
And then getting to episode 4 and thinking, oh, fuck, yeah, okay. I had to watch it I had to watch it in 2 halves. You know, I watched the first half, I started to nod off, so I stopped. And I came back to the second half like 12 hours later. And that, to me, is not the watchword for something that's gripping television. It's not unentertaining, but it's not really grabbing me in the way that Falcon the Winter Soldier really grabbed me from beginning to end.
I can tell you this, man. I know exactly what you're saying. And like we said, when we talked about the first 2 episodes, I said, I'm falling asleep. You know what I mean? I couldn't keep up with it. Yeah. But I went back before episode 4 and I watched the 3 episodes again. And I got to say, it was a lot more entertaining the second time around. Like I completely watched them straight through with no issues. And I watched them back to back to back. So, there's something there that I was definitely not getting that first time that I got the second time. And so that was kind of nice. There's some little nuances that they do really, really well with the actors with each other that I think what Marvel and Kevin Feige and the crew do really, really well is not always finding the best person for the role of the superhero they're playing, but finding the best person that fits into the group of people. You know what I mean? Because it's like at work, right? I can go through all the people that I want that are technically sound, right? But if they're not flexible, they don't have the social skills to navigate political waters and have some technical ability. I need somebody that has all 3, right? And if they just have the look, that's not good enough. You know, they have to have there has to be that camaraderie that is there. There has to be some kind of even when people hate each other, but they're on screen, there's that chemistry for some reason is there. You know what I mean? That you can't really explain. They could hate each other in real life, but they get together on screen and you feel like there's a connection there that is underlined. And I think Marvel has done a really good job of finding that with their movies. I think that's why they do so well. And Loki, I mean, I don't know, man. There's scenes where I love it, and then there's times that I'm just like, I'm bored, and it's predictable, and I think it has more to do with because it's time. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't mean that it's timing. It's time. I mean, it's dealing with a timing, the time continuum, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of played out right now. H.G. Wells did time back in the 1930s, and The Time Machine is a classic, and it's amazing. And then Star Trek did it to death, especially Next Generation. I ended up not watching that show after a while because it was even in their freaking movies, for God's sake, it overtook everything. And it just got to a point where I'm just like, I'm just done. And I think that's how I'm feeling. If there was just a straight show of Loki being Loki and doing something, or they had a multiverse, but this whole thing with time just kind of drives me nuts after a while. And I think that might be what my issue is.
What do you think, Johnny?
I don't disagree. I mean, I like this show. I'm having fun watching it. I think episode 3 was probably the best one so far. I don't know. Episode 4, I enjoyed it. But I didn't I'm still excited for next week and see where it's going to go, where it's going to end. Yeah. But I honestly can't tell you if that excitement is simply because of the show itself or because of the MCU as a whole, honestly. I love Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I love Owen Wilson as Mobius.
I'm right there.
The girl playing Sylvie is great. I can't remember her name is. But I think
Sophia Di Martino.
Yeah. I think her and Tom Hiddleston have great chemistry together. I agree with Kenric in this initial thing that I wish the after credit scene wasn't there. Even though we know Loki's going to be back, having that mystery with not telling us right away that he survives. It would have opened up next episode. If that was the first scene of the next episode, it would have opened up the next episode for everyone to immediately think, okay, what about everybody else that they have deleted, right?
Yeah, it would have given them that week of mystery that they just totally missed out on. I mean, obviously, I would have had that whole episode without Loki and killed him at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then have that whole thing just build up. And then the 5th one, you get that first opening scene of him waking up of wherever he's at right now.
Right. But I mean, we only have 2 episodes left, right? 5 and 6 left to wrap all this up. I am curious where it's going to go. The show's not pulling me in as much as I thought it would. I do enjoy it, but the time travel stuff, and this, if you think about it, this show really doesn't have a lot to do with time travel. I mean, it does. It's a point in it, but really the time travel is not important. What's important is what they did to Sylvie when they took her as a young kid, which they've now obviously confirmed that she's a Loki, right? She grew up from Asgard. I do think they are combining Enchantress with her. I do think she will become Enchantress, just starting as a Loki.
That's what I think too, Johnny. You have just unlocked my emotional relationship with this show, and I realise after hearing you speak that what my relationship with the show is.
Yeah,
I am not curious about where it's going.
For the MCU.
Yeah,
it plays within the MCU, but not this particular.
I really couldn't care less about where it's going. I'm like not wrapped into it, not gripped by it at all. WandaVision, I was totally gripped by it. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was totally gripped. Although I know people don't like Falcon and Winter Soldier. For me, lifelong Captain America fan, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
The Loki show is pleasant to watch, and I don't actually care what's going to happen. That's the way I feel about it. Which is, until it proves to me otherwise, is kind of how I feel about Eternals. Because, as I said numerous times in some of these chats, it's like, Eternals is the first movie that's been based on a deficient piece of Marvel work, not a Marvel archetype, not a brilliant piece of Marvel work, but something that was created by Jack Kirby as he was getting off the boil and was deficient in a bunch of many, artistically just not really there like a lot of his previous stuff. And then even when they doubled down and tried to make it better, I think it's probably one of the least successful things that Neil Gaiman's ever done. Personally, it's two big Marvel projects. I thought 1602 was much, much better than Eternals was.
Me too.
That's just my view.
Recent, wasn't it?
No, that was
it's fucking ages ago, mate. I mean, this is a watchword for life.
They went back to 1602 a couple years ago.
Yeah,
1602 is a brilliant twist to it, which is great, which I won't get into here because it's not really the point. But the Eternals isn't really very good. And I still, as I've said to you before, and I think this is why, as I've also said to you before, why the Inhumans doesn't work is people don't want to watch hyper-privileged royal families of superheroes that have lived for millennia.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's very interesting. Do you know what I mean? Because when you've already got that anyway, which is the gods of Asgard, and that's done in a particular kind of way with lots of humour, I don't know. Maybe I'll be eating my words, and I would love to be eating my words like 6 months from now when we've all watched Eternals and it's amazing and revelatory, right?
Right.
But I think one of the big problems that the MCU faces is, they've done so much amazing work turning like sow's ears into silk purses and doing the stuff which is almost kind of second rate and making this brilliant stuff out of it. Now that they've got to start working with third or fourth rate material and making it like a box office draw, I think that's tough. And I think the problem with the Loki show is probably that there is just fucking so much Marvel stuff out there. So we're all kind of getting used to it, and there's no sense of it being like kind of exceptional. And I'm just, for the first time ever with anything MCU and Vega related, I'm sort of like just biding my time during Loki, going, okay.
What's funny is I brought this up. I asked you guys this question, I don't know which episode it was a while ago, about Jupiter's Legacy. And did they come out too late in that there's too much, there's a drunkenness around superhero genre on TV shows. And it was quickly canceled. They're not doing a second season.
Correct.
And I think that I think it's real. And I think what you're describing right there is what a lot of people are feeling like. There's so much content that has come out, and it's been, since really it's been over 20 years now that we've had a superhero movie almost every year.
Well, to talk about your points about, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah.
For my day job, I was talking to an author called Ben Aronovich. He's a very successful author. He creates a series of books called Rivers of London, right? Which is it's basically a police procedural about a division within the Metropolitan Police in London that's based around magic. And the key character is called Peter Grant. He's a detective who's kind of investigates magic-based crimes. Yeah. And it's phenomenally written. It's an extremely good series. It's very, very well written. And David Aronovich that's his brother, Ben Aronovich. David Aronovich is a famous journalist. Ben Aronovich's brother writes a series, and he's incredibly smart and clever. And I was talking to him about this entire subject. He was like, I don't really buy that because the reality is that we're living in this superhero era. Well, there's a handful of superhero movies every year, and there's a handful of TV shows. But I grew up in an era where there was like 600 fucking westerns a year and 600 crime movies a year, and we're not at that point of saturation. But the economics of filmmaking has changed so that now everything that comes out as a superhero thing is a big event. And if you put in all that like budget and marketing money behind it, it's always got to succeed. I think he's got a good point. I think what's happening is that people are completely happy to stay on board with the superhero medium, the superhero genre, if what they're watching is really fucking good. And I think there are reasons why Jupiter's Legacy wasn't renewed. But for example, another really recent show that was amazing and has been renewed is Invincible, which is incredible, right? Another recent show which is amazing has been renewed is The Boys, which is incredible.
Yeah, The Boys.
So we're getting to that point now that the medium itself, the genre itself, isn't enough. You have to do stuff that's really fucking good.
It's got to be good. The problem with Jupiter's Legacy,
it's got to be good. It's not just got to be good. It's got to be great.
Yeah,
it's great.
They put that guy, the main character in Jupiter's Legacy, they literally put him in a muscle suit.
Yeah,
you can see that. You can't have that nowadays. It looks bad, and people are. I think moviegoers are more sophisticated now because of all the tips and tricks and hints and everything they read online about how things are done, and you can point it out and you can see it. And the fact that special effects are so good nowadays, when it's not done right, it can ruin it.
I think that's a really good point. And one of my issues with the film that I thought was mediocre, but I basically liked, was Shazam. Is one of my issues with Shazam is that he's clearly in a muscle suit.
Yeah.
And one of the things I quite like about the next Shazam movie, when you look, is that he's not in a muscle suit anymore. He's clearly turned his body into that now.
Yeah.
Now that he's had the 2 years to just get in the gym and do it.
Yeah.
When you look at him, he looks like Billy Zane did in The Phantom, which is the first example I can think of, and this is in the mid-90s, of somebody literally turning themselves into the comic book character, which they'd never done in the Batman movies. But one of the things I love about the Billy Zane Phantom movie is he is in unbelievable shape in that film. And all the muscles in that suit, that's fucking him. And you see him with his shirt off when he's inside the Skull Cave, and you're like, okay, mate, well done. You've totally delivered the reality of the film. By the way, that movie is massively underrated. It's really good.
100% agree with you on that one. I love that movie.
It's like
hard agree. John, whenever you really agree with me, you've got to go, I hard agree, mate.
Hard agree, mate.
Just get the brand in. By the way, check out Hard Agree on all good podcast platforms right now. Produced by the Spoilerverse and me, Andrew Sumner. Hard Agree, don't miss it. That's a Hard Agree.
That's one of the things that Marvel did really well. Well, the MCU guys, the actors did really well. Like, Chris Hemsworth and
even Chris Pratt, like Chris Evans, even Chris Pratt.
They all just transformed their body. Like it
Paul Rudd transformed his body, right?
You want to know a secret about
Robert Downey Jr., all of them, they all did incredible things to come up to become this new person. You're like, holy shit, it's a next level compared to what you used to see.
Sure, but I want to know Johnny's secret, whatever it is.
So I read this somewhere. I'm trying to look at this so I can confirm it. But in one of the scenes for Thor, where he's like has his arms out and like they're really ripped, it's CGI. Like
which Thor?
Chris Hemsworth.
Which Thor movie?
It's one of the
original Thor.
No, it's one of the later ones where he shows up. I saw it online one time. I was like, "What the hell? His arms are CGI'd in." Not all of them, but like this one scene. And when I met him down in San
angle though to make it a little bit more definition.
When I met him down in San Diego, like he's not a big dude. Like he's a
Chris Hemsworth isn't a big dude. Are you telling me?
No, I met him.
He's fucking massive. He's like 6'4". You mean he hasn't got big arms?
He looks really skinny. Like he was wearing and he looks really scrawny. And like, I mean, it was probably because it was between films, so he wasn't like working out all the time. when I met him, I expected
to drink back and lose drink back.
Did you shout at him, point your finger straight in his face and shout, pussy. You know, like, is that what you did? Is that what happened?
Totally.
Not fucking Chris Hemsworth, not ripped enough for John Horsley III. Fuck you, man. Look. Take the JH3 route. You're going to look like me. I'm a big dude, and I'm wait a minute. No,
it was just. I mean, he probably was. I mean, obviously he wasn't shirtless, but it was
he was hoping he was. He wanted to be.
I expected him to like be this like. I mean, perception, right? I expected him to just be this omnipresent, like strong looking dude. Because it's how I always see him. But it kind of made sense because he had just come off of the last movie he did was Men in Black. We're in that.
Yeah. Well, he's skinny in that. He's skinny
as hell in that movie, and a lot of his muscles aren't there. So I mean, it makes sense, but it's like it wasn't what I was expecting when I saw him in real life. I was like, I expected.
John was getting his laundry ready because he wanted to wash his stuff off his abs.
I was.
I think the thing with both Hemsworth and Evans is Hemsworth is a very tall dude, and Evans is a tall dude. But I've seen Evans talk about this, and it's basically. They've got lean athletic bodies. They're not meant to carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And once they carry a lot of muscle weight, it causes problems for them, right? I've seen Evans talk about this a lot. He was like, when it gets to the reveal scene, when he comes out of the Vita Ray chamber in Captain America, it took him months to get into that shape. And he canvassed a lot of opinion. It's like, what do I need? And it's like, your arms need to be big. If you're Captain America, your arms need to be big. And apparently getting his arms big was one of the big fucking things for him. And it's the same for Hemsworth. Is getting his arms into that ridiculous Thor shape is really fucking difficult.
Dude,
and they can do it, but the minute they fucking stop working out every fucking day for 3 hours and pumping up before they do the scene, those muscles are gone. They're not supposed to have them.
Dude, Evans coming out of that chamber in Captain America, the first one, his fucking chest, it was like,
oh yeah,
I was like, holy shit!
But that's when that moment, and that was in the trailers way out in advance.
Yeah.
The minute I saw that, that's when I thought he's fucking totally got this right, because he's dedicated himself to turning his lean, very athletic body into this fucking muscular body. Those whole scenes where he's running around what is actually my hometown, Liverpool, when he's got the white t-shirt on, he looks fucking amazing. He looks absolutely unbelievable. Probably in the best shape he's ever been in a Captain America film, right?
Yeah.
And he looks incredible. The other time would be the helicopter catching scene in Winter Soldier.
Awesome.
When he grabs a fucking helicopter, his biceps are in amazing fucking shape when he does that. Yeah. But apparently it took him fucking months to get it to that point. And then, within like 3 weeks, it was all gone, which I understand, because he'd have to be eating fucking 8,000 calories a day and pounding the pavement all the time to look in that shape.
Yeah, that's not easy. Not easy.
I mean, apparently that was one of the things with Chadwick Boseman, that when his illness began to rear its head, is when people were like, "Oh fuck, it doesn't look like you're going to be able to get back into T'Challa shape for the next movie." It's like we're due to film it, but you're not looking, looking very, very skinny. You know what I mean?
That was sad.
Yeah,
that was very, very sad. It was very sad.
I can't.
He's such a great charismatic actor as well.
Yeah. It's just weird. I wanted him to be the next James Bond.
Yeah.
I was like, that would be perfect.
Did you see 42?
Yeah. Movie? Yeah, he was great.
He's amazing in that. He's so good in that.
So, Loki 4. Got off on a huge tangent.
3 more Thors except Casey.
Yeah, it's Loki 4 without any Thors.
Yeah. 4, no Thor.
Loki 4, no more Thors.
Actually, there was a Thors. There was a Thor in that episode. In the after credit scene, there was a Loki Thor.
No, I also there was 3. That's right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Loki Thor. I think he's billed as like fucking what is like braggart Thor or something. You know what I mean? There's a particular way that he's billed because it's classic.
Richard E. Grant, the guy we talked about last episode, is playing classic Thor.
Yeah, and once again, we've been proven horribly wrong in our predictions. Because last week it was like, he's definitely Mephisto, and it's like, oh no, he's comedy classic Thor in the classic costume. Do you know what I mean?
He looks great, like all disgruntled. I'm like,
no, he does look great, and he's a great actor. He's really, really good. He is an amazing actor. So yeah, okay, Thor 4. I'm feeling so Thor.
Where is Loki at?
He's in New York.
He's definitely in New York because you can see the ruins of the Avengers Tower behind
Dark Towers. New York's just Dark Towers off in the corner. He's in a New York that the assumption is like that Loki or Thanos' plan succeeded.
Okay,
but before we get
Is it a New York where the alien invasion succeeded?
That's my assumption. Yeah. That's
what I'm kind of thinking.
But before we get to that, real quick, I want to say that there's classic Thor, there's Thor, or classic Loki, Thor Loki. There's Kid Loki, which is from the comics, and then there's Alligator Loki, which I'm wondering if Alligator Loki is going to bring us Frog Thor.
Oh God, I hope.
This is absolute classic JH3 to me. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And also,
speculation about a bunch of things I don't care about.
But I never liked the whole Frog Thor thing.
And Sumner, just for you, I want to point out the fact that Kid Loki has a lot to do with the Young Avengers.
There we go. I'm feeling the ghost of Casey Allen right here. Do you know what I mean? I thought we'd escaped it. I thought we'd escaped talking about Young Avengers. Young Avengers. We might as well do a whole fucking podcast called Young Avengers. Make mine the Young Avengers because we talk about every fucking week. We should do a whole hour on it. Well, do you know what we should do? We should do a whole hour on Young Avengers where you tell me all about it.
What the fuck?
Stop. I've never actually read Young Avengers. I'm just catching all the references to it.
All that would have went right over my head.
Is this the ghost of Casey Allen saying, like Young Avengers in the corner? You know what I mean? Who's that short bearded man? Who's that little 6'1" bearded man waving his pen around?
The best thing over this whole course of Make My Marvel TV, specifically the local one. The Loki one, the Loki show.
The local show. That's what we're going to do next. The local show where we just talk about things you should go and see in Seattle or West London.
Exactly.
Welcome to the local show.
The local show. But for the Loki show.
This is my favorite pub in
Johnny
West
keeps
London.
Making points, and Sumner keeps giving them to Casey. And you've done it like almost every episode. You've said, "Well, we go back to Casey." Da 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 da. I'm like, that was all Johnny.
That was all Johnny. That's because your voice, Johnny, exists on this baritone level that's going into my fucking subconscious. And then once I think, I've heard that, it's obviously Casey. Do you know what I mean?
It cracks me up because then inevitably Johnny will text me, Sumner said this, but that was my idea.
You said that to me last week. That was actually my idea. Do you know what I mean? What? Not our resident genius, Casey Allen. It wasn't his idea. You know what I mean? I'm so Thor it hurts.
Oh, I love it.
Oh God.
What's funny is in the corporate world, you have to talk, you have to speak for yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you got to tell people, hey, that was my idea, because they won't realize
they'll take it from you. They'll wrestle it from you.
They'll take it from you. And a lot of times people think they're doing it on purpose. It's not on purpose. It's we're moving forward. This is the guy's doing this. And all of a sudden people just assume it's this person. And then they just go with it, Yep. You got to talk for yourself. So it just cracked me up that Johnny was like, hey, that was my idea. Because that's what went right to my head. I was like, oh my God.
It's fucking my idea. JH3. It's my idea.
Yeah. Fuck off, everybody. Just fuck off. Oh, now that I said fuck off like a million times.
And you're the man who actually emailed us all recently going, we should try and clean up the language on the show.
I was just going to say it. We really need to clean it up because it affects things on the YouTube app.
The algorithm gets fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we should really change language because the algorithm gets fucked. Anyway, fuck you guys. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Welcome to this week's episode of Get Fucked, It's Marvel with Kenric Regan, with John Horsley the First, with the ghost of Casey Allen. Hello, everybody, and with me, Andrew Sumner.
Hello, everybody.
I know, the funny thing is, Casey doesn't in a million years sound anything like that.
No,
6'1" Casey Allen doesn't sound anything like that at all. Little Casey Allen,
little
Thor,
little Casey Allen.
But man, for a long time we'd introduce him as Casey Tickle Monster Allen because it's Casey Tickle Monster Allen. So
let's wrap this up.
Yeah,
I think we've come to an end.
Let's put it out of its misery. Says
Hey, what is happening next week? What? Give me a big reveal, Johnny.
Well, I think they kind of stole the big reveal with the after credit scene. Yeah. Obviously, we're going to be in a destructed New York. The only thing they can really throw at us that I can think of right now is, does everybody who's been deleted go to the same place, or do they go somewhere specific? Or is this Loki with the other Lokis that are going to run into Mobius and all the other people who've been deleted?
Be an army of Lokis.
Yeah, like all the other Lokis that they showed, that are they all going to be there? I think we're going to find out more about what deletion means or whatever. I don't know if that's the term they use, and I can't remember, but we'll find out more about that. I don't think we're going to find out who's actually running the timekeepers until the last episode. I still think it's going to be Kang. If it's not Kang, that'll be a big twist. But I think it's going to be Kang. I think eventually we're going to get Mephisto, but I don't think we're actually going to see Mephisto.
I think we're only going to get Mephisto because some of the writers didn't know who Mephisto was.
Yeah,
when they were doing Wanda and they did all these things, and I'm sure it's somebody like Kevin Feige said, "Hey, I need something like this," just because he's thinking in his head, I want to do this later. But if we get Mephisto anytime within the next 2 years, it's because of podcasts like this and fans like us that have been screaming and saying Mephisto, Mephisto, Mephisto.
And what I'm saying is, I don't think he's going to show up until Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness. I think he's going to show up in that movie.
You do?
I think they're playing a long game, and I think Kevin Feige had an idea. I think they've been planting the seeds for it for a long time, and they're just going to keep planting the seeds because everybody's speculating Mephisto for everything, but he's not going to show up until the big movie, right? He's like the slow burn underarching villain that's not really there, but there's hints of things people want to see him come up, and he's going to show up in the movie.
I don't mean to extend this out, but you made an interesting point with Doctor Strange. Do you think they messed up? I almost did it. Do you think they messed up on making Dormammu the big bad in the first movie because he's the classic?
Yeah, I think the answer is no, and I'll tell you why I don't think it was a mistake.
Okay,
because Dormammu has never been drawn as a character with any depth whatsoever. So the reality is he's like, you roll him out and you shoot your load immediately. Nobody knows who Dormammu is, what his backstory is. It exists. What I'm saying is he's just literally like, whoa, the devil. It's like, he's not an in-depth character at all. He's a brilliantly designed bad guy of the week. So I think it's fine to roll him out. Like, it would be fine to roll Eternity out. No one cares, because they're not interesting, actually. They're just one-note characters.
I got one more for you. If it's not Mephisto, could it be Belasco? And if you don't know who Belasco is, he was the ruler of Limbo, taught by Mephisto, and is a dark sorcerer wizard. Also gave powers to Ilyana Rasputin, aka Magic, who ends up killing him and taking over Limbo. He would be somebody, and because of his abilities with Limbo, he can go to all those different multiverses. He could be somebody that sets up Mephisto coming.
Could be.
I'm hoping that it's not, because Belasco, right?
Yeah,
is like an incredibly boring character. I would almost rather that the revelation was that the bad guy was actually Tabasco, and it was like, this fucking hot sauce that you will eat on Earth is the reason why this is all happening.
They kind of argued the boring character. So were Guardians of the Galaxy. That was a boring.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I think that's a very different thing, because when you're waiting for a revelation, you do not want it to be somebody that just hasn't registered at all. Because while the Guardians of the Galaxy are absolutely right, we're kind of boring. Everybody knows the name. Nobody actually knows the name of Belasco, right?
Yeah.
And it's so minor, fucking Marvel ranks. Zero expectation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it would be such a damp squib if that was the reality of it. It'd be like, oh, fuck, okay. Because this series has already got a massive problem with being fucking boring. Right, and and maybe it'll be boring right till the end. And like, if my answer to the question, what you expect from what you're hoping for from next week's episode, isn't anything to do with the narrative. It's nothing to do with the revelations. I just hope that it's going to be a bit more engaging than it has been already.
Yeah,
and I'm afraid I've lapsed back into my episode 1 and 2 position, which I didn't think was going to happen. I'm just not very engaged or interested. Do you know what I mean? No. And I don't want my Marvel Cinematic Universe experience to be that way.
Yeah. I do want to say this. I correctly predicted how they were going to escape Litmus 1. Just so you know.
Oh, yeah.
I said at the end, Morbius is going to open Time Door and pull him in.
Yeah.
Did you say that?
Look at this guy.
I thought you had said that Loki didn't have the.
Did you say that? Did you say that, Kenric?
No, I thought that Loki's.
John's like, this broken, is fucking bollocks.
No, I said that could be a possibility, but I think at the end it's going to be this.
Oh, okay.
Man,
Look at Johnny. He doesn't even believe you. Doesn't even believe you. He's just looking at the wall in his studio going, "This is true." You know what I mean?
Thanks for not to exaggerate before. So I'm just making sure. That's all.
Oh God! Listen to this guy.
Well, so 1,000%. This is what I think about this episode. I think talking about it with you guys has been approximately 50 times more entertaining than the episode was for me. You know, and you know, I thought, what? I'm cancelling my early morning masturbation for this? You know, I mean, you know, that's not really doing it for me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, I was putting off watching the last episode of Bosch, like the final season, just to watch this. That's a big fucking mistake. You know what I mean? But hey, that's just me.
Which is you. Yeah.
I think that's a wrap, guys. One, I want to appreciate Sumner for taking time. Johnny, thanks for taking the time today. Casey T. Allen, we really appreciate you taking the time today.
I know. Appreciate you being here.
It's okay. Yeah, that's my wildly inaccurate Casey Allen impression. Do you know what I mean? Oh, wait a minute. Check this out. Do you want my latest prop? Here we go.
Yeah.
It's like, Casey, you okay? Good, excellent, very good. Yeah, he's right here.
Twice for no.
Hey, 6'1" Southern Thor. Are you all right? Yeah, he's okay. He's good, lads. He's in good shape.
All right, you guys. Join us next week for Loki number 5 on Make My Marvel TV, presented by Spoiler Country. See you soon.
Spaghetti. And we're back.
That's right. We are back. Back in the saddle again. Well, I hope you guys really, really enjoyed that as much as we did making it for you. And if you like what you heard and you want to hear more, you got to go check out Spoilerverse.com, because at Spoilerverse.com, we have a plethora amazing directors and artists of all walks of life, and editors and writers. And oh my God, are you a lover of comic books like we are? Then there's so many amazing people from the comic book world over at Spoilerverse.com. And I highly implore you to go there and check it out.
Yeah, and while you're there, you can check out all the other podcasts on our network, like Bridges and Geekdoms and Funny Book Forensics and Haphazard Adventures and Nerds from the Crypt and so many more.
Misery Point
episodes
Radio.
all the time. Go check all of them out. And check out all of the reviews and previews and articles we have going up every single day for you. Every day on Spoilerverse.com for you to check out and to read and to love and to like and to comment. We have a store link. You want to help support the site? You can do it 2 ways. One, go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/spoilercountry, or go to our store link in the middle of the site there and get a t-shirt, a face mask, a hoodie, something, look fly as hell, and help support the site when you do that, because we get $1 or $2. And, you know, maybe you want to talk to us. If you do, you can do it obviously on all the socials, but if you go to scpod.us/Discord, you can join our public Discord server and come chat with us all day long.
I couldn't say it better myself, dude.
There you go.
You just mouthed out a ton of information at once, and really I hope you guys enjoy what you're hearing, because we're working our butts off to bring it to you.
We are.
I guess there's only one left thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. There's only one left thing left to do.
What's that?
In an oceans of podcasts, we are Cthulhu. As Cthulhu compels you to
open the mind
and read more.
Spaghetti.
Do you listen to podcasts that sound like this? Hey, welcome back to the Super OK Podcast, where our audio sounds mediocre.
Or do you prefer podcasts that sound more like this? Crisp, clear, fun, easy to listen to, and full of awesomeness? Well, you should check out Spoiler Country, hosted exclusively over at Spoilerverse.com.